All right, ready to dive deep. Today, we're exploring the world of Osho and his, well, let's just say his provocative ideas.
Provocative is putting it mildly.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't afraid to stir things up. We're focusing on individuality, enlightenment, and all those systems that Osho thought were holding us back.
He really pushed people to question everything.
Right, and he used all sorts of ways to do it. We've got anecdotes from his life, those wild talks he gave,
Yeah.
even his take on figures like, Buddha and Jesus.
It's a real mix.
So this deep dive is all about getting to the core of his message, living authentically, reaching higher consciousness, but also why he faced so much resistance.
Because he challenged practically every authority out there.
Exactly. One story that really grabbed me was about this archbishop. This archbishop was convinced Osho would dismantle the entire church in like 2 weeks just by showing up.
Talk about anxiety, right? The fear of change, clinging to dogma, shutting down any new ideas.
And Osho, he just nails it. He basically said, if one person can dismantle a 2,000-year-old structure in 2 weeks, maybe it wasn't that strong to begin with.
It makes you think, what are we so afraid of? Why hold on to systems even if they're hurting us?
We'd rather stick with what we know, even if it's painful, than face something new, right?
Familiarity is comfortable, even when it's not good for us. And this fear, it's not just with religion. Osho also went after our blind faith in technology. Way before Chernobyl, he was warning about nuclear power.
And he wasn't just talking about the immediate dangers. He was talking long-term about radiation in our food, in the environment. Still an issue today, isn't it? Do you see any parallels today with how we embrace technology?
Absolutely. I think we often rush into things without truly understanding the potential consequences, both short-term and long-term.
Osho would say, question everything. Don't blindly accept anything, whether it's religious dogma, political ideologies, or, yeah, even new technology.
He put the responsibility on each individual. We have to develop our own internal compass, our own judgment. Can't just rely on experts or authority figures.
And that leads us to this whole idea of shedding the personality to find true individuality. So-called personality, this mask we wear, this borrowed identity we create to fit in.
It's conforming to pressures, not expressing who you really are. It's almost the opposite of individuality.
And that can mess us up psychologically, can it? Feeling empty, searching for meaning outside ourselves, always needing approval from others.
Always chasing external validation, never really feeling whole.
It's like that Einstein story Osho told. Here's this brilliant physicist, right? But even he felt like he never really knew himself.
Imagine that regret, all that intellectual achievement, but no self-knowledge. He even said he wished he'd been a plumber instead.
So Osho said, true knowing ourselves isn't about intellect. It's about silence, awareness, looking inward.
It's going from objective knowing, all that outward focus, to subjective knowing what's inside.
Have you ever tried practices like mindfulness or meditation? Osho called it witnessing, just observing your thoughts and feelings without judging them.
It's like stepping back from your mind's constant chatter, becoming an observer, not getting caught up in the stories.
And he was really against forcing spiritual experiences. He contrasted witnessing with techniques like latihan, which can be really intense, even lead to unconsciousness.
Right. Osho believed in a calmer, more natural approach. Let things unfold organically.
And mindfulness practices, those seem to align with his idea of witnessing, just being present, accepting what is. Incredibly powerful, aren't they?
They can really change your whole perspective, make you more aware, help you manage your emotions.
Definitely. Now, to understand why Osho faced so much resistance, we have to talk about his idea of the collective unconscious. This shared pool of beliefs, fears, desires.
A hidden network that influences us without us even realizing it.
And Osho said his teachings, well, they were threatening that collective unconscious. He was shaking things up, challenging power structures, and people got scared.
He was hitting a nerve.
Makes you think about all the issues we see today, right?
Yeah.
Groupthink, political polarization, even just trying to make any kind of change of a big organization.
We have to be aware of these unconscious biases, not just in ourselves, but in our groups, our institutions.
Osho wanted us to be critical thinkers, to question everything, to go beyond just blindly accepting what we're told. Now, what about enlightenment? Osho had a very specific take on that.
He didn't see it as something extraordinary or difficult to achieve. He said it's as natural as breathing. It's already there within us.
But there's this fragile I that can linger. Even after enlightenment, this sense of separation, this duality.
It's like a subtle barrier. That ultimate sense of oneness hasn't fully blossomed.
And Osho said the goal is to dissolve even that, to completely merge with existence.
A beautiful concept, isn't it? This idea of merging with everything, transcending the limitations of self.
It resonates with so many spiritual traditions, this universal experience of oneness.
It's something we can all tap into.
All right, let's switch gears again. Osho also talked a lot about the importance of being ordinary, which is kind of funny, right? In a culture that's all about being special, achieving great things.
Definitely goes against the grain.
He warned against yearning for specialness or believing in being chosen. He used the example of the Jewish belief in being God's chosen people.
Right, a belief that has had, unfortunately, some very tragic consequences.
He said these beliefs, they create separation, superiority, and ultimately lead to conflict.
It's about embracing our shared humanity, finding beauty in the simple things.
Exactly. Let go of the ego's need for validation. Find peace in just being.
It's a powerful message, and it leads nicely into his understanding of the body, not something separate or less than the spirit.
He saw the body as absolutely essential for spiritual growth. We need to respect it, understand it, listen to its wisdom.
He talked about sexual energy, its power for transformation, how it can be a catalyst for spiritual growth.
And the importance of posture and meditation, how different positions affect energy flow, mental clarity.
He had some incredible stories about the mind-body connection, like the woman who was paralyzed, but she was able to escape a fire effortlessly.
Stories that really challenge us, don't they?
They show us what's possible when we understand how interconnected the mind, body, and spirit truly are.
And his ideas, they really connect with what we're seeing today, right? Holistic wellness, somatic therapies, all these approaches that integrate the physical and spiritual.
It's exciting to see these ideas becoming more mainstream.
So Osho's message is clear. Embrace your body. It's an instrument for your spiritual awakening.
And it wasn't just about the body. Osho really challenged the whole idea of blind faith, especially when it came to scriptures and rituals.
Yeah, he had this great analogy about blindly accepting beliefs, like dumping garbage into someone's house.
He said it's disrespectful, imposing your beliefs on others without any real understanding.
And he was adamant that true spirituality comes from your own experiences, not from some external authority.
It has to be lived, not just believed. You can't just blindly follow doctrines or seek approval from, priests or gurus.
He told this story about a woman who was handing out religious pamphlets. She was all about God and Jesus, but when Osho asked her to prove God's existence, she couldn't.
And he pointed out the irony. She was claiming to follow Jesus' teachings, but was she really?
So it's not about blind faith. It's about developing your own convictions, your own understanding.
Exactly. And Osho was really critical of organized religion, too, how it creates these divisions, these conflicts, all based on different interpretations of, ancient texts.
He told this funny story about the Pope and the Jewish high priest. They meet every year and exchange this scroll.
But nobody knows what's written on it. That's all very secretive.
Osho used it to show how ridiculous some rituals can be,
Yeah.
how they can distract from the real meaning of spirituality.
He was saying true spirituality goes beyond any religion, any dogma. It's about that direct experience.
And this focus on individual experience, it connects with this whole idea of embracing ordinariness, which seems kind of strange, right? In a world that's all about being extraordinary.
It's definitely a different way of thinking.
He really challenged this idea of being chosen, this belief that some people are, special or superior.
Which can lead to all sorts of problems, historically speaking.
He used the example of the Jewish belief in being God's chosen people.
And the consequences of that belief have been, well, pretty devastating.
So Osho said, forget about being special. Embrace the ordinary. See the beauty in everyday life.
Acknowledge that we're all connected.
Let go of that ego that needs to be validated all the time.
It's about finding peace in just being.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the body. Osho didn't see the body as separate from the spirit at all.
He saw it as an essential part of our spiritual journey.
We need to take care of it, listen to it, understand its wisdom.
He talked about sexual energy, how powerful it can be.
Yeah, he said it can actually be a catalyst for spiritual growth if we channel it in the right way.
And he emphasized the importance of posture in meditation, how different positions can affect our energy, our mental clarity.
He told this amazing story about a woman who was paralyzed.
And yet, she escaped a fire without any effort.
Stories like that really make you question what we think is possible.
They show the incredible potential of the mind-body connection.
And Osho's ideas, they're so relevant to what's happening today, right?
Yeah.
All this interest in holistic health, somatic therapies, integrating the physical and the spiritual.
It's great to see those ideas getting more attention.
Osho was ahead of his time in a lot of ways.
So we've talked about the body, but there's also this whole other layer to Osho's teachings, this idea of knowing, which isn't always what we think it is.
Yeah, especially with spirituality, it's easy to think knowing means gathering all this knowledge, reading all the books, like that's the path to enlightenment.
But Osho actually made a distinction between objective knowing, which is all about intellect, information, the external world.
Right, and then there's subjective knowing.
Exactly, and that's about understanding yourself, your own being, going beyond just the facts and figures.
It's like trying to see your own eyes, you know? You can't do it directly. You need a mirror, a reflection.
And Osho said our intellect, it's great for understanding the world out there, but when it comes to understanding the I, the one who's perceiving, it's not enough.
So how do we get to this subjective knowing? It's not about more studying, more thinking, right?
No, Osho said it's about cultivating silence, becoming aware, quieting that constant chatter in our minds,
Letting go of all those thoughts, those stories we tell ourselves.
creating space for something deeper to emerge.
And that brings us to one of Osho's key practices, witnessing.
Simply observing everything that's happening inside, the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations,
But not judging them, not getting caught up in them.
just watching, like clouds passing by.
And Osho said this practice, this witnessing, it can be incredibly liberating.
It frees you from being controlled by your thoughts and emotions.
You gain perspective, you can respond to challenges more calmly.
And he was very clear that you shouldn't force spiritual experiences. He contrasted this witnessing with techniques like lakiren, which can be quite intense.
He preferred a more gentle approach, a natural unfolding.
Letting go, allowing things to happen organically.
And his idea of witnessing, it's a lot like what we call mindfulness today, isn't it?
Definitely. That same emphasis on being present, aware, non-judgmental.
It's something everyone can benefit from, not just those on a spiritual path.
Absolutely. It can reduce stress, help you manage your emotions. It's really about cultivating inner peace.
Now, another big theme in Osho's teachings was this interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit.
He really challenged the Western idea that they're separate.
He saw them as completely intertwined, all affecting each other.
Our thoughts and emotions can impact our physical health and vice versa.
He even talked about posture in meditation, how it affects energy flow, mental clarity.
And he had this amazing story about a woman who was paralyzed, but she was able to escape a fire.
Just like that. It shows the power of consciousness, how it can go beyond physical limitations.
Osho's insights are so relevant to what we're seeing today. All this focus on holistic wellness, somatic therapies.
Integrated the physical and the spiritual.
It's fantastic that these ideas are becoming more widely accepted.
So we've come to the end of our deep dive into the world of Osho. We've explored his views on individuality, enlightenment, challenging societal norms, and the importance of inner awareness.
Let's recap those 10 key takeaways.
Okay, here we go. Number 1, challenge authority. Don't just blindly accept what you're told. Cultivate your own inner knowing. Number 2, be discerning with technology. Don't rush into things without understanding the potential consequences. Number 3, embrace authenticity. Shed those masks, those borrowed identities, and express who you truly are.
Number 4, cultivate inner knowing. Real understanding comes from going within, not just from gathering information.
Number 5, practice witnessing. Observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. It's a pathway to freedom and peace.
Number 6, be aware of collective beliefs. Recognize how shared unconscious beliefs can influence us all.
Number 7, remember, enlightenment is natural. It's not some far-off goal. It's a state of being that's available to us right now.
Number 8, move beyond dogma. True spirituality comes from direct experience, not blind faith.
Number 9, find power in ordinariness. Embrace simplicity. Let go of the need to be special.
And number 10, honor the mind-body-spirit connection. See how interconnected they are and respect your body as a vehicle for spiritual growth.
Osho's teachings were meant to provoke, to challenge us, to inspire us to find our own path.
And that's what we hope this deep dive has done for you.
Take what resonates with you, explore further, and most importantly, trust your own inner wisdom as you navigate this journey we call life.